Hello, this is Steven with Iowa Backyard Farmer. It is the middle of August, which is prime harvest season for us, and we've got a lot of things that we're going to harvest today. I just wanted to show you a few things and how to tell if they are ripe. And we're going to start out right now. We're in our Bartlett pear tree, and this is, I think, the second harvest, but certainly there's more pears on it this year than we normally have, and I'm super excited to show you. So one of the key things with pears is, unlike a lot of other fruit, you don't wait until it's entirely ripe. Come in, you look, and you're like, oh wow, that's still fairly green, but is it ready to be picked? And the answer is yes, it is. And go ahead and set that down here in my bowl. And how you can tell if a pear is ripe, you can see from it just hanging down here. If you pick it up and kind of twist it about a 45-degree angle, if it pops off, then it's ripe and ready to go. So we'll get a couple of those here.
They'll be full sized.
And when you're doing that, you will notice that they are full sized. If you try to pick them before they're ready to be picked, they're really quite a bit tougher to pull off the stem. But these, just a little tweak up and they come right off. So from here we will take them in, basically just set them on our counter or our floor, somewhere that we've got a spot to let them sit and rest, and over the next few days they will turn yellow and be ready for us to process or do something with. And this one seems to be a little tougher. Maybe it's not quite ripe.
It's easier to do with 2 hands.
Yeah, it is easier to do with 2 hands. So that one's a little tougher to go as well, so it might not be quite right. Let's see, another one up here. Again, just a little kink it to the side and off it pops. So that's it for the pears. Let's go over and take a look at the blackberries. So got a nice big bowl of the Bartlett pears. Let's come over and take a look now at our Primark Freedom blackberries. We've had these for a couple of years and they've been getting more mature, and to put this trellis up here last year made it a lot easier for the plants to really thrive in our environment here. And as you take a look, you can see they're loaded. These are the first year canes, just look at the fruit set here. Really excited about that. And it's really easy to come in and say, oh wow, look at all these, let's just go ahead and pick everything. But blackberries are kind of picky, in as much as if you want the really good flavor, you've got to pick them at exactly the right time. And the right time is really, you can have shiny fruit, and shiny is a good part of it, but you almost want it to just as it hits that peak where it's gonna start turning dull colored is where you're gonna get your peak flavor. As you look at some of these here, you've still got a little bit of pink on it. Those will not taste anywhere near as good as those that are completely black all the way through. And usually when they're black, they're pretty easy to just pop off. And you can see here's kind of a double one, black for the most part all the way around, and again pretty, still pretty shiny, but you can kind of look on some of the little portions that looks like, well, they're starting to become a little bit dull. Those will be perfect flavor. And all these that still have some pink on them, leave those for another day. You'll regret picking them early just because they do not have near as good a flavor as those that are black all the way around and are fully ripe. So we'll go ahead and get these harvested and get them preserved so that we can enjoy their goodness through the rest of the winter. So one of the questions that I've heard frequently just recently is, how can I tell when my butternut squash is ripe and ready to be picked? Or really any of the winter squash. But let's take a look at a couple of the butternuts. We've got a couple of butternuts. It's a variety that, do you remember what it's called?
Serving,
it's just a very small, it's kind of a mini butternut. And as you look at this one, it's still really a light green color. not ripe, not ready to be harvested at all. But if we come on over here, we've got a couple that are pretty close, so let's take a look and see. So a ripe butternut has much more of that tan, kind of fleshy, tanny color. That's one way to tell. Once it gets to this point, I'll come in and don't have a lot of thumbnail, but I'll come in and just kind of push on it with a thumbnail and see if it leaves a dent. It's not quite ready to go, but if you don't really get much of a dent, in this case none at all, then it is ripe and ready to go. And they may still have a couple of green streaks, but that's just fine. So we'll go ahead and pick this one because it is ripe and ready to be harvested. So let's take a look at how we choose when to harvest our peppers. There's a lot of different things that you can look at: color, weight, firmness, that kind of stuff. So come with me while we harvest some peppers. I've got here a couple that I just pulled off the very first plant. And first of all, you can notice by the color that they are certainly ripe. This one is a fairly smooth skin, has a little bit of shine to it. So this one's probably, I'd say that's in the peak of perfection. The one right next to it has the right color, but starting to get a little bit dull, a little bit softer. So this one's probably a little bit overripe. Probably still tastes just fine, but in terms of being at the peak of perfection, just a little bit beyond that. So come through here, we can take a look at some of these others. Here's one that is meant to ripen yellow. So just in general, peppers will all start out green. Even if you buy a pepper that it says it's a red pepper or a yellow pepper or an orange pepper, they start out green. They'll gain their size first, and then kind of thicken up. They'll get thicker walls, get a little bit more solid. You can kind of lift it with your hand. You can feel that there's some decent weight to it, and then it will change color. Now you can still harvest peppers when they're green if you would like. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want to wait till they're all the way ripe to get the full flavor, it will you'll be better off waiting until you get the majority of the pepper to be the right color.
Well, it depends on what your variety is too. So jalapenos, we almost always harvest green, even though they turn red. And some things you just want to know where's the perfect part to harvest it. For sweet bells, you want to wait for full color.
Yeah. So come on over here, and this is one of the new ones that we've tried, and it is called a Just Sweet, I think. Let me take a look. Just Sweet. Actually, it's hard to say. This one's got it's got more of a pointy corn bottom, so I'm thinking this is probably the Aura, I think is which one this is. And you can see it's fairly loaded. It's a really nice productive plant. Too bad we didn't label it, but I'm 90% sure it's an Aura. But it has, the color has turned nicely. It's nice, shiny, it's solid, has some decent weight to it. That one is ready to go, and as is probably most of the rest of these here. One of the interesting things about peppers is you'll get these that'll sit here, stay green for a little while, and they will not start turning yellow, it seems, until you get those that are ripe picked and off the plant. And that will allow the plant to focus the energy it gets from the sun on these next ones. So I bet next weekend those will be ripe and ready to go. So let's come down and look at some of our bell peppers. Bell peppers are typically bred to either be harvested green or red or orange, or pick your color. Those that are bred to be harvested when they're green seem to have a longer window in which they stay green, but eventually they will turn colors as well. So come through here. Here's a nice green one. It has some good weight, again, nice and shiny. And I'll have to ask you, Jennifer, is this one that we are wanting to wait until it turned colors, or are we wanting to harvest some green bells today?
We can have some green bells today.
So we'll harvest some green ones here. Just kind of twist or tweak the angle at the top of the stem, and it breaks off really nice. Here's another one that looks really good. Nice and orange. And again, so there's just a little bit of green on it. Nothing wrong with that. Once they get to mostly their ripe color, red or orange or yellow, for example, they'll quickly go beyond that point. So I'd rather harvest one that has just a little bit of green on it and be most of the color, and it'll be in a lot better, a lot closer to that peak perfection that you would like to get your best flavor out of a pepper. Let's take a look at some of our other sweet peppers. We've got a couple of different Marconis here on the end. A lot of people are only familiar with the sweet bell peppers that you can get in the grocery store, but let me tell you, if you want a sweet pepper that is thick and has some really good meat to it, I'd definitely try a Marconi. So this is our golden Marconi, and I'm gonna, since it's mostly orange or yellow here, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it. It again has just a little bit of green on it, so it's basically at the peak of perfection. In fact, it's probably even yesterday would have been a little bit better. One of the issues that we've noticed with a lot of the red and yellow and orange peppers is that we're not the only ones watching to see if they're ripe. If we leave these too long, insects seem to get to them pretty quickly. And if we come over here, and there's another one that is just at the perfect peak of perfection, and then I notice there's a couple little insect bite marks already on the inside. So it's okay to pick a little bit early, but boy, if you've ever wanted to try a super sweet pepper, try the Marconis. Also have a red one here, kind of the same situation. It's a little bit smaller of a fruit, but you can see a little bit of nibbling that's already starting on the top of that one as well. So go ahead and get them picked when you're out in the garden and you see that they're just about ripe, and they'll work out just fine for you. So let's take a look at our sweet banana peppers. Sweet banana peppers, you usually want to harvest when they're kind of a lighter colored, kind of a banana-y color. That's really the ideal time if you want to make like pickled banana rings. But if I look at this plant, you can see that many of these are certainly beyond that perfect point that you would normally want. And we were on vacation, came back, and just hadn't gotten around to doing anything with these. But one thing you will notice, it's pretty common. We'll get bugs or voles will come in and then just start chomping on the very ends of these once they are completely ripe. Even insects, I mean, they'll just get in and start eating it from the inside out as well. So some of them are still in pretty good shape, and we'll take those in, see if there's anything we can do with them. But they're going to be way hotter. If you like the banana rings, like if you get them at like Subway or something, they have a really good flavor when they're yellow. They're really spicy when you wait for them to get red. So we'll see what we can do with these. Most of these are past their prime, but don't like to waste stuff if we've got a option for it. So we'll take a look and see what we can come up with. Hope this has been helpful to see some different ways to determine when your garden is ready to harvest. If you have questions, put them down in the comments, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.